Turn that off. It's time for No Pad Sports Talk. Stay tuned as two brothers bring you the latest from your Michigan teams and beyond in hockey, baseball, football, and more. Let's get started. Here are your hosts, JD and Steve.
Welcome to another edition of No Pad Sports Talk. I am one of your hosts, JD.
And I'm Steve, and I am on location.
On location where? What are we talking about? What's going on?
So my buddy Scott is in town from Texas to attend a Michigan football game with me. And we are camping at a KOA right near Ann Arbor, right closer to Ypsilanti, I guess. But we're about 25 minutes from the stadium. Getting ready to making sure we got everything we need for the morning because we're going to be getting out of here about 5:15. So we can get out there at 5:15 in the a.m. So we can be there at 6 when the gates open so we can start tailgating.
All right. Wow. Okay. That's definitely going to be fun for you.
Oh, yep. Always a good time, obviously, Scott comes out every year. He's been doing it every year for several years now. So this is the second year we've camped. So it'll be our second time back here at this KOA. Nice campground, but we like to keeps us from having to drive an hour and in the morning, and it's closer to 25 minutes. So.
Well, for those of you that have been listening to us since the beginning, we actually had Scott as a guest host quite a while ago. I think it was for our 10th episode. And
it was.
And we got to talk some Michigan football with him. That was a pretty good episode. Way back before our YouTube days.
Yeah, back before the YouTube days. So what we're going to do, I think, on Sunday, we're going to try and do our post game that we usually do. And we're maybe slide in some Michigan football, and Scott's going to join us for that too.
Yeah, sounds like a good time.
Yep.
But before we get to Sunday, we actually have to talk about the what our expectations and what we think is going to happen with the Lions. We got to do a pregame. So
we do.
It's after beating Kansas City, if I was thinking ahead to week 3, I would have thought that week 3 would have been a pretty a much easier game anyways. I kind of knew that Seattle was going to be a tough game. But after knocking Kansas City down, I just kind of thought that even though Seattle's going to be tough, I thought that we'd beat Seattle. And then Falcons, being such a young team, I thought we would, beat them pretty handedly. That's looking less and less likely now.
I have to agree. So, Atlanta doesn't suck, right? I think their young talent that they have on the offensive side of the ball is looking pretty good. But I think the hardest thing, the reason the game is going to be even tougher, is when you look at our injury report. Seattle was not just a tough game, as far as whether we were going to win or lose. It was tough on our roster. So we got Taylor Decker out. Vitae is out. Mosley.
Emmanuel Mosley remains out. Yeah.
And
Kirby Joseph.
Kirby Joseph. So those are the ones that we know that are out. That doesn't include the guys that we already sent to IR. To include, oh crap! I just lost the name. Who did we send to the IR?
You talking about Gardner Johnson?
Gardner Johnson. Gardner Johnson.
Yeah.
You know, David Montgomery is doubtful. I can't imagine that. I think something drastic would have to happen if he is suited up for him to actually make it out onto the field. Um, if this thigh bruise or that he's got is as bad as it is, he needs the time to sit and let that heal, or it's only gonna get worse. We've all had that that deep bruise where we've run into something. He ran into something much harder than something that we might run into. So he definitely needs that time, but that just means and then our number one receiver, he's questionable, right?
Yeah, he is questionable. But the only thing I'll say though is he's definitely expected to play. And I would expect him to play. Now, if that comes with maybe not playing as many snaps as normal, which is obviously bad as well. But
Right.
they're saying he's going to play with a steel plate in his cleat. So, but that's tough. Like, so we got a couple starters out on defense, a couple starters out on offensive line. Our position players, Montgomery was looking great until he got injured, and now Amon St. Brown, right? Like we got banged up really quick this season, and it's starting to show, right? It's definitely starting to show. The
Oh, not in other. Hold on, brother. Sorry.
the thing that Okay, the thing that really is kind of killing me here is they take Jahmyr Gibbs pretty high, right? 12 overall, whatever it was. They take him pretty high, and what have we seen from him? Like, how many plays has he actually ran? Like, I'm a little jealous, not from the player that we took. Like, when you look at Atlanta Falcons and Bijan Robinson over on that side of on that team. Like, they're playing him a lot. And, Bijan Robinson, just in terms of touches, he had 19 carries for 124 yards last game. He averaged 6.5 yards a carry. Then on top of those 19 touches running the ball, he had 4 receptions for 48 yards.
Right.
The guy had 172 yards on offense, line of scrimmage yards. And so yeah, Bijan Robinson's looking like a beast, and here we go, getting Jahmyr Gibbs. And even though I like Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm not knocking Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm just knocking the way he's currently being used.
Right.
So
the coach's decision on how they're using him in a game is what the issue is, right? I just feel like I know they signed David Montgomery and they had that guy, and I like that they're. At least I feel like they're thinking we need to save him, right? Slowly work him in. But, whereas in Atlanta, Bijan came in, he's going to be the number one guy. And, I mean, he's already showing that that's what he is. So now I'm trying to compare the two because of the rosters of the two teams, right? So that's kind of one thing you have to. But I agree. Gibbs needs to be way more involved in the offense because when he touches the ball, he's electric. And I just feel like the more times you give him the ball, the more times you give it to him, the better he's going to get, right?
Yeah, I mean, eventually he's going to take one to the house. I mean, he should have, on that little quick slant play. That he ended up dropping. But I don't care that they spent a lot of money on David Montgomery, right?
Right.
All I'm saying is I don't even mind if David Montgomery plays over Jahmyr Gibbs. Overall, you have to play who has the hot hand. If Montgomery was playing like he did last game and he was and he was just gashing the defense, you play Montgomery. Yeah. I have no problems doing that, right?
Absolutely.
But if Montgomery is not, providing the game that you need, you go to Jahmyr Gibbs. Let Jahmyr Gibbs have a shot. See if he can move the ball. Right. That's what you do. And I also don't like that they're only running Jahmyr Gibbs off tackle. I really do think he can run between the tackles. He doesn't have to go outside all the time. And that seems to be, at least right now, early in this season, that seems to be how our offensive line is blocking best. They're blocking, for passing inside runs. So let's continue. Let's at least do that a little bit. In a way,
Well,
I know this is going to
they're gonna have
sound
to.
bad.
They're gonna have to on Sunday, right?
If Montgomery doesn't play,
Doesn't play.
yes.
Yeah.
I would be curious though, right? Like how many inside runs versus outside runs we're going to see with Jahmyr Gibbs. Now they did promote Zonovan Knight, right, from the practice squad after Montgomery got hurt. So there's going to be 3 running backs on dressed for Sunday, as opposed to 2. I think they had 2 for week 1, but now it's going to be Gibbs, Reynolds, and Knight if Gibbs can't go.
Right. So,
But
I think we're going to see more. They're going to have. I know they've listed Montgomery as doubtful, but honestly, I am doubtful he'll play. I'm not super confident he's going to play. I don't even think he's going to dress in an emergency kind of role. I think you're going to see him on the sideline. You might even see him with a headset. So either listening to plays or trying to, you're going to see him talking to Gibbs on the sideline, like coaching those running backs up. Because they're going to need that. Reynolds has been in our system, so it's not like he doesn't know what we're doing, right?
Right.
And he has come in at times and had good games for us. So it's not like I'm not down on what we can do, but we are just down on the number of players that can do it. You're going to be relying a lot on Jahmyr Gibbs. We're going to be relying on Sam Laporta, Khalif Raymond, Marvin Jones. Like these other players are going to have to step up and be the next person up.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we talked a lot about in our post game for week 2. We talked a lot about the secondary. There has been a lot of talk with other podcasts and national media as far as the defensive line goes. Our defensive line has not looked great at all. I think the only sack they have so far the entire season came on the quarterback running like 30 yards, backwards, right? Like that's the only sack that we got.
Correct. That's that. I believe. I know that's the only one we got last week.
I don't think we got to Mahomes at all, right? So
I don't think we ever got.
I think that's the only sack we have
because he was able to make it back to the line.
So we got 1 sack all season.
Yeah.
And now the Falcons' offensive line, so far this season, as far as sacks allowed go, they let up 4 sacks in the first game versus Carolina. Now Carolina has a pretty good pass rushing defense. Brian Burns and company there. And against the Packers last week, they let up 1 sack. So the offensive line has been exposed a little bit. So that we have to really see just what kind of pressure lines defensive line can put on the quarterback in this game. And I'll tell you what, though, I'm going to be PO'd if Desmond Ridder throws for 300 yards against the Lions. I think, and not that I think it's going to happen. I'm just saying we've seen a couple huge passing performances between in the first 2 weeks. And if Desmond Ritter all of a sudden just goes crazy, um, I don't know. I mean, I might have to. I might have to look to see if a change should be made in that scenario after that.
Right. So it's I'm trying to look at the defense for each team. Looking at some stats now, the Falcons have 3 sacks. They have 2 interceptions, where the Lions have 1 and 1 of each. The Falcons are allowing.
Yeah, the interception came against Bryce Young.
For the Lions?
So I'm just saying, no, the Falcons intercepted Bryce Young week 1.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the only interception they got, right? That's the only interception they got is against Bryce Young. So, I mean, a rookie in his first NFL game.
Right.
That's the only point I was trying to make there is you can't. Yeah, and then the other interception came against.
I'm trying to look at what we've got here. The Falcons looks. I mean, they haven't played a whole lot of people, so like, there's only been 63 passing attempts against the Falcons defense. And then on the rushing side,
well, I mean, only 25 passing attempts came from Jordan Love.
Right.
So
that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
like
they didn't throw a lot, Actually,
right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And Falcons, they're 2-0, but they've been kind of living off field goals. I mean, they had 4 field goals against the Green Bay Packers. And they barely won 25-24. On that nice little comeback that they had in the fourth quarter. But the defense has given up points for Atlanta. The defense can be exposed.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
We just have to see if what
rushing wise, the Falcons have given up
half their offensive line out.
So there's stuff that the Lions can do and scheme against the Falcons. I think, like I said, I still think they have the talent and the players. We just need those young guys to step up, right? Branch is going to get a heavy load this week, I think, right? With Gardner, Mosley, and Joseph not playing.
Kirby right? Joseph.
Yeah.
Well, your 2 starting safeties are out.
Correct. So Branch is going to be.
So
he's going to be all guy.
But what you're going to do now is how you're going to get exposed on the Lions side of the ball is because now with both your starting safeties out, you got to move Branch back to safety instead of playing nickelback. So you can have Tracy Walker and Brian Branch back there at safety. Now, who do you play for your nickel?
Right.
I mean, like, in my opinion, like this is, the defense was already looking terrible. And especially the secondary. And now you go ahead and you take out 2 quality starters. And because of that, you got to move one of your chess pieces because you can use Brian Branch in many different ways. Right? Now you got to move him to more of a specific role playing safety. Like you kind of lose that, the wild card, that additional piece. So it's going to be... defensively, I don't think much is going to change in terms of Lions' game plan. I mean, number one, you got to stop Bijan Robinson. He's going to be like the
he's going to be the guy
for that offense. Make Desmond Ritter beat you. So
right. So
that's not going to change.
Who's going to be flying that?
You're going to. Well,
right.
That's where Jack Campbell has to come in. I'm again, I don't know. And I like Camp. I like Dan Campbell. As a coach, I think he came in here, changed the culture. He's done a lot of
Yep.
good, and in no way am I calling for his head or anything. I'm just saying that I have a lot of respect for the guy, and but what I don't understand is why Jack Campbell isn't playing more snaps. It's he's probably the best coverage linebacker we got. He's probably the most athletic linebacker we got,
All
and
right.
you put him to kind of like you were saying, spying Bijan Robinson.
All
I
right.
think he's the only linebacker that can actually do it.
Yep. So
So that's where I'm coming from on this in this scenario. Is Jack Campbell, if if he plays, he's going to be the key piece. I mean, obviously Brian Branch, but like I said, he's going to be moved more towards like a standard safety role. So
yeah.
Jack Campbell has to be the key when it comes to Bijan.
Yeah. So looking at the Falcons roster, right? Bijan Robinson is their leading receiver. No, sorry, second leading receiver in total yards and even receptions. He's got 10 receptions. He's got four more receptions than anybody else on the team. And he's obviously the leading rusher. So
Yeah,
basically, if you can stop Bijan Robinson, you can slow down the Falcons, right?
yep. And offensively for the Lions, that game plan doesn't change. Every week in, week out, all you want to do is you want to establish the run and then use play action. That's not going to
Right.
change because that's how Goff is at his best, and you're gonna have a game plan that's going to fit your quarterback, and that fits Goff. That's not going to change. Every
Correct.
week, that's going to be the game plan. So
Yep.
the only problem is just execution right now, right? Like, how is
Right.
the offense going to execute in terms of, because it's not just the play action. I got a feeling the Lions are going to do quite, when I say quite a few, I can't like come up with like a number for it, but I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised to see him do a lot of screen passes to Jameer Gibbs.
Yeah. Yep. So Lions, as far as Jameer Gibbs,
And
he had 14 rushes in two games. He's got 9 receptions over 2 games.
yeah, 23
So,
touches.
yep. And a total of just under 120 yards, about 116 yards
Yeah.
from all of that,
Yep.
right? So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at that point, he's a little over 4 yards a touch, right? Whether it's receiving or catching, he's in that realm. But
Yeah, he's in the
again,
realm. Yeah.
we're gonna have to. Like I said, I just don't think David Montgomery's gonna be able to go, and they're gonna have to give it to Gibbs, and Gibbs is gonna have to, you know, show why we drafted him where we drafted him. And I think he's capable, just like you said. You game plan for him. He can run between the tackles. He's done it. You gotta go look back at his Alabama tape, right? He's stronger than he might appear. While he is super fast, he is
Yeah.
stronger than he appears.
Yep. And he's not afraid of of that little bit of contact. He's not
No.
afraid of it. And it's like, look, again, I respect Montgomery for everything that he did in the last game before he got injured, because he was basically our offense up until that point. But but Jameer Gibbs, like, if you just watch, if they run the same play, right, and they hit in the same hole, you could, there really isn't a comparison in terms of speed and acceleration. Jameer Gibbs is way faster, can accelerate way faster. than what Montgomery can. Like
Right.
you said at the beginning, he's explosive. You have to give him the
Mhm.
ball. You got to find a way to get him the ball, especially in space.
Yeah.
So I did like the little bit of those, um, like where he was running out the backfield and he was kind of cutting across the middle between the two linebackers. I really like that little pass play they got for him. I think that works out real well, not just for Jameer Gibbs, but also for Goff. The
Right.
but like you said, you gotta give him a chance to run through the tackles. That's where the offensive line has been excelling, and we got to continue doing that.
Yeah. Especially now that we're gonna have. I mean, Graham Glasgow's gonna be in there. He's got experience in our offense. He's not, so he's a good plug and play guy, right? But who's going to be their offensive lineman that comes in? Is it the rookie?
It'll be Nelson, just like yeah, no, it'll be Nelson. Like last game, you got Sewell's gonna move to left tackle, and Matt Nelson will be on the right tackle.
The right tackle. Okay.
So,
And then Glasgow's going to
um,
play guard.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, but again, we just have to. Unfortunately, um, Ragnow, we do know that he suffered an injury. Now he wasn't on the injury report. He did not have because they gave him like a veteran day off to try to manage the pain. But he does have a hurt toe. Um, so again, I do expect him to play. Right? It's a lot like what we're talking about with Amon-Ra St. Brown. I
Right.
totally expect him to play. But if he re-aggravates it, um, that's I, I guess what I'm saying is it's not going to take much to re-aggravate that toe, and it's possible that if it hurts too bad, again, he's not going to be playing anymore either. So it's um, going down three of our starting offensive linemen, and potentially, and
Right.
trying to find a replacement for Ragnow, who is the best offensive lineman on the line. When you're
Yeah.
already having, unfortunately, to replace Taylor Decker. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
Like I hope it doesn't come
as
to
far as
that,
the,
but it is something
yeah.
to watch out for.
Right. Well, as far as the center position, Glasgow can play center. Right.
Yeah, but either way you swing it, you still got then you got to find a guard.
Right.
So
You still have a hole to fill, but what I'm saying, like, sometimes it's easier to find the guard than it is to find a reliable center. Especially someone who's played center like Glasgow has, because he had a lot. He's just got experience there. So, I think he's the guy you can kind of fill in and make that the guy's got to make the call at the line. As far as protections.
yep, and we also got to mention too. I'm sure everybody heard, but James Houston also went to IR.
That's right.
So we expected a lot out of him this year because of his what in 6 games, how many sacks that he had or whatever it was. Like he was looking really good as far as for pass rush.
Yep.
But now with him being on the IR, it's unfortunate, obviously, but that just takes away from your defensive line. You're already not getting the pressure that you want on your defensive line. It seems like the only person getting any pressure at all is Hutchinson. And
Yep.
from in terms of, I think I saw a stat the other day. Hutchinson's number one in the league in terms of like pressures and hits and all that stuff. Combined, like he's number one in the league. Um, it's just he's getting no
Right.
help right now on that defensive line.
Correct. And he's. I mean, and the sacks just aren't there, right? And that's not his fault, because
No,
if you look at the game tape, when even at Kansas City, Mahomes got the ball out of his hand quickly. Geno Smith
yep,
got the ball out of his hand quickly. Like, they understand that they don't have that kind of time when it comes to Hutchinson, because he's going to be up in their face. So teams have schemed for that, and while it's frustrating and it might look like that, you know, Hutchinson's not having a good year, I think that's not true. It's there's no, he's having a very good
He's been
year.
disruptive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. He's been disruptive. The main problem's been again, no help.
Right.
Like if the quarterback only has to worry about Hutchinson and keep an eye on him, and doesn't worry about his backside or whatever, right? Like um, that only plays into the quarterback's favor, especially the quarterbacks that we've gone against. That I know Smith isn't as mobile as Mahomes, but he's one of those guys that can move around in the pocket. He's not going to like run it for 30 yards, but he's mobile enough to move around and create more time before he throws the ball. And that's exactly
Right.
what we've seen him do. But when you only have to move away in one direction, like away from one direction, like a lot of times you see, pressure coming from one side, quarterback sees it, and they try moving out of the pocket, but the other side's collapsing too, and then you get the sack. But
Right.
that's not what's happening. You're not getting pressure anywhere else on the defensive line. So
Correct. And Ritter being a young
yeah,
guy,
it's
and he did it in Cincinnati. He's a mobile guy, right? So
yes,
he's a quarterback who can move around in the pocket, but he can also get out of the pocket and get down the field if he has to. So that's where you got to have a linebacker. I think that's watching him. You're gonna have to have someone. You know, we struggled against the tight ends last week. I mean, I think in the secondary as far as receiving, we kind of struggled all over the place. But tight ends always give us a hard time. They were running three tight
yeah,
end sets.
yeah.
Kyle Pitts is basically a receiver in a tight end body. And then you
Yeah,
got
he
like
hasn't done anything since he's been drafted, though.
he hasn't, but who's he had throwing to him? I,
Well,
I'm not
the
saying
same guy's
Desmond
still
Ritter.
throwing to him. So,
I know Desmond Ritter. I'm not saying Desmond Ritter is the guy that's gonna, but you know, I, that's gonna be a good connection. But they got Drake London out there, quick, elusive. Bijan Robinson's obviously showing why he got drafted where he did. It just the Lions are gonna have a tough game. So
yeah,
offensively, the Lions are gonna have to go out there and score points to help their defense.
they're gonna have to. I mean, don't be surprised if they got to score 30, 35 points to win this thing.
Yeah, because the only
So
other thing I can think is if they try to do ball control, if they're able to move the ball in with the run and they're holding the ball 6 minutes, so that keeps the other team off. But we're scoring touchdowns and not field goals on the other side.
right,
But
right.
otherwise it's going to be another shootout, and we're just hoping that we get on the right side of that shootout. Because going down
Yeah, and
one,
it's gonna be tough.
yeah,
Again, with all the players we got out, Amon-Ra St. Brown, being hobbled on one leg, like it's just like a shootout's not what we really want. I don't think right now.
it is definitely not. Definitely not what we want.
So, your prediction, brother. What are you thinking here in this game?
So I think that the Lions are going to. Well, I've said it. I know they're going to struggle, but I'm going to say it's going to be. I'm going to go 32-28. And
Wow. Okay.
I'm saying the Lions are going to pull that out 32-28.
I'm, I'm really tempted to call the win for Atlanta here. I really am. Um, I don't know why. It's just one of those gut feelings, and I can't explain it. And I don't know if maybe I'm just like salty because of last week. Um,
Well, it makes
but
sense.
I'm
I mean,
gonna.
you can be salty, but we're also missing some parts. And we just don't know it. We don't know what the team's going to look like, who we're going to put on the field, and how they're going to work together. Right?
No, we don't. But I'm gonna go ahead and call it. Lions will score 24. And the Falcons will score 20. So 24-20 Lions.
All right. So, you know, I don't. I'm trying to pick a player. I'm gonna go with Sam Laporta again this week. He's gonna be my guy. And
He was your honorable mention last week. So
he was my honorable mention, and I said he's gonna get 65. I think he got 62 or 63. So I'm gonna push it up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say he's got 75 yards this week, and he's gonna get a touchdown.
So I think last week, I think I said Jahmyr Gibbs was going to have a breakout game. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, I'll go with him again this week, only because I think he's going to have to. If the Lions are going to win this game, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have to get, over 100 yards combined for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him get over 120 combined on this breakout day. But the defense, what are you talking about for defense?
Hutchinson gets his first sack. But Brian Branch will be my player of the game.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go Hutchinson, 2 sacks, and Hutchinson's player of the game.
Okay. And I picked Brian Branch for my player of the game simply because I think he's gonna have to step up. I'm gonna need him to play really good defense, a pass defense. So he's gonna have an opportunity to prove, what he can do.
Well, you guys heard it here first. Let us know what you think. What's your opinion? Who do you got to win this one? Obviously we're going to see Sunday. It's going to be a tough game. Lions should have the advantage just because they're at home. And hopefully, we get to celebrate a win on Sunday.
Absolutely. Because it's not like the Lions that'll be losing at home and winning on the road. That's like the total opposite of the Lions we know.
Yeah, it is. So, but watch for our post game on Sunday as well, and a special episode potentially with Scott being our guest host.
Absolutely. So you guys have a good night.
Yeah.
And I got to get ready for bed because it's 5:30 or 5 o'clock, whatever time we're getting up. 4:45 comes really early.
Yeah, it's gonna come really early. So
yeah,
I appreciate you guys watching. Have a good time Sunday. Stay safe. Talk to you then.
Yep. Bye.
Thanks for listening to No Pads Sports Talk. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at No Pads Sports Talk.